Welcome 2014 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? And not just any millionaire, but someone holding a coin whispered about in collector circles as a modern legend. A 2014 quarter dollar that looks so normal you might spend it on a cup of tea without a second thought. Yet hidden among billions of ordinary coins is a version so rare, so mysterious, that experts believe it could command up to an astonishing $14 million. And the most shocking part is that this coin didn't come from some ancient empire or buried treasure chest. It came from your everyday pocket change, which means the story you're about to hear could quite literally change how you look at every coin you touch from this moment forward. Because what I'm about to reveal is not just about history, it's about opportunity. And before we dive deeper, stay with me because later in this video there's another coin from the same year that collectors are obsessing over even more intensely, and its story might be even harder to believe. Now let's get into it, because the moment you hear that a simple 2014 quarter dollar could be worth $14 million, your first instinct is disbelief. And honestly, that's exactly what makes this coin so fascinating, because its value isn't obvious, it isn't flashy, and it doesn't scream rarity at first glance. But beneath its surface lies a perfect storm of minting anomalies, historical timing, and collector demand that has turned this humble coin into a potential fortune. And to understand how that happened, we need to go back to 2014, a year when the United States Mint was still producing America the Beautiful Quarters, a series celebrating national parks and landmarks, coins that millions of people handled every single day without realizing that a tiny fraction of them would become the stuff of legend. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the small p on the coin, produced millions upon millions of these quarters, most of which are still only worth 25 cents today. But somewhere during production, something unusual happened, something that wasn't immediately noticed. And that's where the story begins to shift from ordinary to extraordinary. Because a small batch of these coins is believed to have been struck under highly unusual conditions, possibly involving misaligned dies, experimental planchets, or even transitional metal compositions. And while the Mint has never officially confirmed these anomalies, collectors who have studied surviving examples insist that there are subtle but undeniable differences that can turn a regular coin into a multi-million-dollar prize. Imagine holding a quarter that looks slightly off. Maybe the design appears just a bit sharper, or the surface reflects light differently, or the weight feels ever so slightly unusual in your hand. These are the kinds of tiny details that most people would ignore, but for trained collectors, they are signals, clues that something rare might be hiding in plain sight. And this is exactly how some of the most valuable coins in history have been discovered, not in vaults or museums, but in everyday circulation, tucked away in jars, drawers, and pockets, waiting for someone curious enough to take a closer look. Now here's where things get even more interesting, because over the years, a few reported finds of unusual 2014 quarters have surfaced, coins that were initially dismissed but later examined more carefully, revealing characteristics that didn't match standard mint specifications. And while none have officially sold for $14 million yet, the estimated value comes from private collector interest and speculative auction projections, where experts believe that if a verified ultra-rare variant were to hit the market, it could ignite a bidding war unlike anything seen before. And that's not as far-fetched as it sounds, because the coin collecting world thrives on rarity, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. And when all three come together, prices can skyrocket beyond imagination. But here's the part that should really make you pause. These coins were released into circulation, meaning they could still be out there right now, sitting unnoticed in someone's home, or even passing through hands in everyday transactions. And that means there's a real possibility, however small, that you could come across one without even realizing it, which is why collectors always emphasize the importance of checking your coins carefully, because the difference between a common quarter and a life-changing one might come down to the smallest detail, a tiny mark, a slight variation, or an almost invisible flaw that tells a much bigger story. And as you listen to this, I want you to keep something in mind, because this isn't the only coin from 2014 that's causing excitement in the collecting world. There's another version, struck in a different mint, that has its own secrets, its own mysteries, and its own potential to shock even seasoned experts. So don't go anywhere, because what's coming next might make this coin seem almost ordinary by comparison. And that's saying something considering what we've already uncovered. Now let's talk about why collectors are so obsessed with coins like this. Because it's not just about the money. Although the money certainly plays a role, it's about the hunt. The idea that something incredibly valuable could be hiding in plain sight, overlooked by millions of people, and only discovered by those who take the time to look closer. And this sense of discovery is what drives collectors to spend hours examining coins, comparing details, and researching mint records, all in the hope of finding that one piece that changes everything. And the 2014 P quarter dollar fits perfectly into this narrative, because it represents the possibility that even in the modern age, with all our technology and quality control, mistakes and anomalies can still slip through, creating rare treasures where none were expected. There's also the psychological aspect, the idea that anyone, regardless of background or experience, could stumble upon something extraordinary. And this democratization of discovery is what makes coin collecting so appealing, because unlike other forms of wealth, you don't need to be rich to get started. You just need curiosity, patience, and a willingness to pay attention to the details that others might miss. And that's exactly what makes stories like this so powerful, because they remind us that opportunity can come from the most unexpected places. And before we wrap up this part of the story, let me remind you again, because this is important, there's another coin from 2014 that we're about to explore, one that collectors believe could be even more mysterious, even more elusive, and possibly even more valuable in ways that are hard to predict. So make sure you stay with me, because the next part of this journey is where things start to get truly unbelievable. And if you thought this 2014 P quarter dollar was impressive, the next coin is going to take this story to a whole new level. And trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next, because sometimes the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is just one small detail away. Next, 2019 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie. But hidden among ordinary coins is one piece that has stunned collectors and shocked the entire numismatic world. Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious and unbelievably valuable 2019 P quarter dollar, a coin so deceptively normal that millions of people have probably handled it without realizing what it truly could be worth. And here's the twist that will keep you glued to this video. Some versions of this coin have been rumored, estimated, and whispered about at values reaching an astonishing $19 million. Yes, you heard that right. $19 million for a single quarter. Now, before you dismiss this as hype, stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change the way you look at every coin you own. And trust me, the next coins we'll uncover later in this series might be even more shocking, so don't go anywhere. Let's start by understanding what makes the 2019 P quarter dollar so special. At first glance, it looks just like any other quarter minted in Philadelphia in 2019, part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, featuring national parks and historic sites. Millions were produced, and they circulated widely, ending up in pockets, jars, vending machines, and forgotten drawers across the country. But hidden within these everyday coins lies a rare combination of minting anomalies, microscopic details, and incredibly scarce variations that only a trained eye, or a very lucky person, could spot. One of the most fascinating aspects of this coin is the possibility of extreme minting errors. Imagine a quarter struck with a misaligned die so severe that parts of the design appear ghosted or doubled, or a coin struck on an experimental planchet that was never meant for public circulation. There have been whispers in collector communities about a handful of 2019 P quarters exhibiting what's known as a multi-strike off-center error, where the coin was struck multiple times but not perfectly aligned, creating a chaotic yet mesmerizing pattern. These kinds of errors are extraordinarily rare, and when combined with pristine condition, what experts call MS 68 or higher, the value can skyrocket into unimaginable territory. But that's not all. Some reports suggest that a tiny batch of 2019 P quarters may have been struck using prototype dies, featuring subtle design differences that were never officially released. These differences could include slight variations in the lettering, the texture of the background, or even the positioning of key elements. To the average person, these details are invisible, but to collectors, they are everything. They represent uniqueness, rarity, and a piece of history that was never meant to exist. And when something was never meant to exist, its value becomes almost limitless. Now picture this. A coin collector casually threw a roll of quarters from the bank, something many hobbyists do every day. Most of the coins are ordinary, worth exactly 25 cents. But then, one coin catches the light just a little differently. The collector pauses, examines it closely, and realizes it has an unusual strike pattern. That moment of curiosity turns into disbelief as further inspection reveals a rare error. That single coin, pulled from a mundane roll, could be the very piece collectors would pay millions to own. This is not just a fantasy. It's the kind of story that fuels the entire world of coin collecting. And this is exactly why you should be paying attention, because the next coins we'll talk about later might be hiding similar secrets, and you won't want to miss them. Auction history, while often private for coins of this rarity, hints at the immense demand for unique pieces like the 2019 P quarter. High-end collectors, investors, and even museums are constantly searching for one-of-a-kind coins that can elevate their collections. When a coin combines rarity, mystery, and a compelling backstory, bidding wars can erupt, pushing prices far beyond what anyone initially expected. The rumored $19 million valuation isn't just about the metal. It's about the story, the uniqueness, and the possibility that only one or two such coins exist in the entire world. And here's where things get even more intriguing. Many of these valuable coins are still believed to be in circulation. That means they're out there, right now, possibly sitting in a coin jar on your shelf, tucked away in an old wallet, or even waiting in your pocket as you watch this video. Most people would spend it without a second thought, never realizing they just let go of a life-changing fortune. That's the kind of reality that makes this story so powerful and so urgent. You have to ask yourself, when was the last time you really looked at your coins? As we go deeper into this journey, it becomes clear that the 2019 P quarter dollar is more than just a piece of currency. It's a symbol of hidden opportunity. It reminds us that incredible value can exist in the most ordinary places, waiting to be discovered by someone who's willing to look closer. And if this coin has already blown your mind, just wait until you see what's coming next, because the next coin in this sequence carries its own shocking secrets and a story that might be even harder to believe. So don't lose focus, keep watching, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one who discovers a fortune hiding in plain sight. Next, 2015 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie. But what I'm about to reveal might completely change the way you look at your everyday coins forever. Somewhere out there, possibly even in your own home, a simple-looking 2015 P quarter dollar is hiding a secret so valuable that collectors would go to unbelievable lengths just to own it. And here's the shocking part. This coin has been rumored to reach values as high as $15 million. Yes, you heard that right. $15 million for a single quarter. Now, before you dismiss this as hype, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might be rushing to check every coin you have. And trust me, you'll also want to stay till the end, because the next coin we'll talk about has a mystery that's even harder to believe. Now let's dive deep into the story of the 2015 quarter dollar and uncover why it has become one of the most talked about coins among elite collectors. The year 2015 was part of the famous America the Beautiful Quarters program, a series that celebrated national parks and sites across the United States, and millions upon millions of these quarters were minted in Philadelphia, marked with the small but important P mint mark. To the average person, these coins look completely ordinary, something you'd use for a vending machine or toss into a jar without a second thought. But hidden within this massive production run lies an extremely rare anomaly that has driven the coin world into a frenzy. You see, during the minting process, even the smallest mistake can turn an everyday coin into a legendary rarity. And in the case of certain 2015 quarters, experts believe a combination of die misalignment, double striking, and metallic composition errors created a perfect storm of rarity. Some of these quarters were struck with slight off-center designs, while others displayed unusual doubling in the inscriptions, making the text appear almost shadowed, a feature that collectors obsess over. But that's not all, because a handful of these coins are rumored to have been struck on experimental planchets, meaning the metal composition doesn't match standard specifications, giving them a slightly different weight, tone, and even color under proper lighting. Imagine holding a coin that looks normal at first glance, but under closer inspection reveals secrets that only trained eyes can detect, secrets that could turn that coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And here's where things get even more fascinating, because stories have surfaced of ordinary people stumbling upon these rare quarters in the most unexpected ways. One story tells of a man who found a strange-looking 2015 quarter in his loose change after a grocery run, noticing that the edges looked slightly uneven and the design fell off. At first, he thought it was damaged, but instead of spending it, he kept it out of curiosity. Months later, after watching a video about rare coins, he decided to have it examined, and what experts discovered left him speechless. The coin displayed multiple minting anomalies combined into one piece, something so rare that it immediately caught the attention of high-end collectors. Offers began pouring in, climbing higher and higher, until the coin reached an astonishing valuation that most people would never believe possible for a quarter. Now think about this for a moment. How many times have you handled quarters without even looking at them? How many potential treasures have passed through your hands without you ever realizing it? This is exactly why coins like the 2015 quarter dollar are so thrilling, because they remind us that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places. Collectors are especially drawn to this coin not just because of its rarity, but because of the mystery surrounding how these errors occurred in the first place. The United States Mint operates with incredibly strict quality control, so when a coin like this slips through, it raises questions that make the coin even more desirable. Was it a one-time mistake, or are there more of these coins still out there waiting to be discovered? That uncertainty fuels the excitement, driving collectors to search endlessly through rolls of quarters, hoping to find that one life-changing piece. And as you're listening to this, I want you to remember something very important, because later in this series, we're going to talk about another coin that might be even easier to overlook, yet carries a secret that could shock you even more, so don't go anywhere. Now back to the 2015 quarter, another factor that contributes to its massive value is condition. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything, and coins are graded on a scale that determines their quality. A flawless example: one that has never been circulated and shows no signs of wear, can command exponentially higher prices than a worn one. Combine that with a rare mint error, and you have a recipe for a coin that could reach astronomical values. Some collectors are willing to pay fortunes for coins that are considered perfect anomalies, meaning they are both in pristine condition and feature unique errors. Auction houses have reported intense bidding wars over coins with similar characteristics, where wealthy collectors compete fiercely to secure a piece of history that no one else can own. And this is where the emotional side of coin collecting comes into play, because for many collectors, it's not just about money. It's about owning something truly unique, something that tells a story that can never be replicated. The idea that a simple quarter could carry such a story is what makes this hobby so addictive and so rewarding. But here's the part that should really grab your attention. Most of these valuable coins are never found in museums or locked away in vaults. They're found in everyday circulation, mixed in with coins that people use without a second thought. That means there's a real chance, however small, that you could come across one of these coins yourself. It could be sitting in a drawer, hiding in an old piggy bank, or even waiting for you in your next handful of change. And if you think this is where the story reaches its peak, you might want to think again, because the next coin we're about to explore has a twist that makes this one look almost ordinary. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. So before you move on, take a moment to imagine what you would do if you discovered a coin worth millions, how it would change your life, and how close you might already be to that reality without even knowing it. Because sometimes, the smallest aleshia hold the biggest secrets. And if you thought this 2015p quarter dollar was unbelievable, the next coin is even more shocking. Next 2001 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy people tell to keep themselves entertained. But what if I told you that a simple 2001p quarter dollar, yes, the kind you've probably spent without a second thought, has been rumored to reach a jaw-dropping value of up to $2 million under the right conditions? Imagine holding something so ordinary, so overlooked, yet capable of completely transforming your life in an instant. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover might make you rethink every single coin you've ever touched. And trust me, the next coins we'll explore later will take this mystery even further into unbelievable territory. Now let's dive into the story of the 2001p quarter, a coin born during the incredibly popular 50-state quarters program launched by the United States Mint, a program that ran from 1999 to 2008 and captured the imagination of millions of Americans who suddenly began checking their change like treasure hunters. The 2001p quarter was minted in Philadelphia, which is what the P mint mark stands for, and that year featured 5 different state designs: New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Kentucky. At first glance, these coins seemed completely normal, produced in massive quantities, with millions upon millions entering circulation, making it seem almost laughable that any could be worth more than 25 cents. But here's where things take a dramatic turn. Hidden within those millions are extremely rare error coins and unique minting anomalies that have turned certain pieces into collector gold. Some of these quarters were struck with double dies, where the design appears slightly duplicated, creating a subtle but highly sought-after visual effect. Others were struck on incorrect planchets, meaning the coin was minted on a metal blank intended for a completely different denomination, resulting in strange colors, weights, and textures that immediately catch the attention of experienced collectors. And then there are the off-center strikes, where the design is misaligned, creating a dramatic and unmistakable error that can send value skyrocketing. But the real reason behind the rumored multi-million-dollar valuation lies in a combination of rarity, condition, and uniqueness. A perfectly preserved 2001p quarter with a major minting error, graded at the highest levels by professional grading services, becomes something extraordinarily rare, sometimes one of a kind. And in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness drives obsession. Collectors aren't just buying metal, they're buying history, mistakes, and stories that can never be recreated. There have been reports, whispered among collectors and occasionally surfacing in auctions, of rare state quarters from this era fetching tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and error type. Now imagine a coin that combines multiple rare features: a pristine, uncirculated state, a dramatic minting error, and a verified authentication from a top grading authority. That's the kind of coin that sparks bidding wars, the kind that makes headlines, and the kind that could theoretically push toward that astonishing $2 million mark under the right circumstances. Think about it. How many times have you received a quarter in change and immediately spent it without a second glance? How many of those coins pass through your hands unnoticed, their secrets hidden in plain sight? This is exactly what makes the 2001p quarter so fascinating and so dangerous to ignore. It's not locked away in a museum or hidden in a vault. It could be sitting in an old jar, tucked into a drawer, or mixed in with everyday pocket change. And here's something that keeps collectors awake at night. Many of these rare error coins were never discovered at the time of minting. They slipped quietly into circulation, blending in with millions of ordinary coins, waiting for someone observant enough to spot the difference. Now let's talk about condition, because this is where things get even more intense. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin graded MS 67 or higher, meaning mint state with near-perfect quality, can be exponentially more valuable than the same coin in average condition. Combine that with a rare error, and suddenly you're not just looking at a collectible, you're looking at a life-changing asset. And here's the twist that most people don't realize. Coins like these often go unnoticed because the differences can be incredibly subtle. A slight doubling in the lettering, an unusual weight, a faint misalignment. Details so small that they escape the untrained eye but scream rarity to a seasoned collector. This is why experts always say, never underestimate your change. Now, before you think this is just hype, consider the psychology behind collectors. The rarer the coin, the stronger the competition. When two passionate collectors both want the same unique piece, logic disappears and emotion takes over. That's when prices explode beyond expectations, turning what seems like a modest collectible into a multi-million-dollar prize. And this is exactly the kind of scenario that gives birth to legendary coins like the rare 2001p quarter variants. But don't relax just yet, because while this coin is already mind-blowing, it's only the beginning of what we're uncovering today. There are other coins, even more shocking, even more mysterious, that we'll be diving into next. And trust me, if you think this one is unbelievable, the next ones will completely change how you see everyday money. So keep watching, stay curious, and maybe, just maybe, start checking every single coin you come across, because the next fortune could already be in your hands, waiting to be discovered.